Peter Joseph Pete Yorn is an American singer-songwriter, guitarist and drummer who first gained international recognition after his debut record, Musicforthemorningafter, was released to critical and commercial acclaim in 2001. He is known for playing the bulk of the instruments on his records. Early history: Yorn was born in Montville, New Jersey, the son of Joan, a former schoolteacher and real estate agent, and Lawrence K. Yorn, a retired dentist. His brother Rick is a major talent manager in Hollywood, while his brother Kevin Yorn is an entertainment lawyer. Yorn was raised Jewish. He grew up in Montville, New Jersey, where he attended Montville Township High School. Breakthrough: Yorn was encouraged enough to maintain a focus on music while attending Syracuse University, where he was a major in the Department of Communication and Rhetorical Studies and a member of the Delta Upsilon fraternity. After graduating, Yorn moved to Los Angeles, where he began to attract a following with his performances at Café Largo. He was signed to Columbia Records in 1999. Shortly after, film producer Bradley Thomas liked Yorn's act enough to request Yorn send him some rough demos for possible inclusion in the Farrelly Brothers film Me, Myself and Irene. Soon after, Yorn landed a job scoring all of the music to the film and also contributed to the songs Strange Condition, and Just Another to the film and its soundtrack. After experiencing this taste of success, Yorn released his 2001 LP debut, entitled Musicforthemorningafter, which went gold on the strength of the album's lead single, Life on a Chain. Rolling Stone magazine named Yorn one of 10 artists to watch in 2001, and gave the album a favorable 4-star rating. Yorn went on to release the 2003 album Day I Forgot, which has sold over 300,000 copies to date and scored a third radio hit with the song Come Back Home. In 2006, Yorn released his third album, Nightcrawler, and toured extensively in support of it. He preceded every show with an in-store acoustic appearance at an indie record shop in the town he was passing through. All of these in-store performances were recorded, thus creating an extensive series of live EPs. Nightcrawler was named one of the top 20 records of 2006 by Paste magazine. Guitarist Peter Buck of the band REM has made appearances on several Pete Yorn recordings, including instrumentation on the single version of Strange Condition, and a number of songs from the Day I Forgot LP. Yorn has worked with producers Walt Vincent, Brad Wood, and Ken Andrews of Failure and Year of the Rabbit, in addition to several other producers including Scott Litt, Butch Walker and Sonic Youth producer Don Fleming. Yorn has shared bills with the Dave Matthews Band, REM, Crowded House, Foo Fighters, Weezer, Coldplay, the Dixie Chicks, Semisonic, and Sunny Day Real Estate, among others. Yorn has played at Carnegie Hall on 2 occasions as part of tributes to Neil Young and Bruce Springsteen. Yorn gave the 2011 commencement address to the visual and performing arts class at his alma mater, Syracuse University. Yorn's song, Lose You, can be heard just before the ending credits of the episode's Simple Explanation during Kuttner's funeral on the Fox show House, MD. Yorn mentions the Nova Scotia band Sloan as one with great influence on him, even admitting after seeing them live he was so blown away by their talent that he wondered whether it would be worth continuing to even pursue his debut album. The Trilogy, Pete Yorn's third studio release, Nightcrawler, completes a conceptual trilogy of sorts, which spans his first 3 albums. Beginning in the morning with the Musicforthemorningafter LP, continuing through the day with the Day I Forgot LP, and arriving at nightfall with the Nightcrawler LP. In September 2006, in an interview with SilentUproar.com, Yorn elaborated on his true intentions behind the trilogy, remarking that it was at least partially a conscious trilogy but wasn't meant to be taken too seriously. I didn't mean like a Star Wars trilogy where it's one story at all. Yorn expressed that the trilogy was more of a diary of sorts. A person gaining new life experiences and simply commenting on them in linear order. So it's a sort of continuing analysis of those topics, and the Nightcrawler LP would represent a later phase, Yorn said. Subsequent releases. In 2008, Pete Yorn recorded and released a new song, entitled American Blues Volume 1. A music video was shot for the single, and the song itself was released for free on Yorn's official website for a short period of time. Concerning the song, Yorn has said, "I wrote American Blues Volume 1 on the 4th of July after reading the morning paper. It's unlike any song I've ever written. I was moved by how much negativity I was reading about and how even groups were boycotting Independence Day because they were so disgusted with the state of our nation. I was hoping things would improve. They obviously haven't yet. But I know they will in time." Yorn appears on Canadian artist Matthew Good's 2009 album Vancouver performing backing vocals. "Can't Hear Anyone," a song that Yorn wrote during the Nightcrawler sessions, was recently used for a Mercedes-Benz commercial and was released as a digital single on March 31, 2009. Columbia Records released his Mike Modges-produced album, entitled Back and Forth, on June 23, 2009. Yorn toured with Coldplay as an opening act through summer 2009 and collaborated with actress-musician Scarlett Johansson to record a project entitled Break Up. The album was released on September 15, 2009, and its first single Relator was released digitally on May 26, 2009. The record has since gone platinum in France. Yorn released a self-titled album on September 28, 2010. This record was released by Vagrant Records, and produced by Frank Black of the Pixies. It received a favorable 8/10 stars in Spin magazine and 4/5 stars in Mojo. He toured North America and Europe in support of this record February 14 to June 12, 2011. In November 2012, Santa Monica-based radio station KCRW began spinning songs from a new record by a band called The Ohms. DJ Jason Bentley has reported that Yorn is indeed a founding member of this group. On January 8, 2013, NPR's flagship station KCRW released a track by The Ohms titled, "Wanna Feel It." The Ohms' self-titled debut album was released on June 4, 2013 by the newly relaunched Harvest Records. On September 15, 2013, Yorn and The Ohms performed along with Vampire Weekend at the iTunes Festival in London. An EP was released of the performance in conjunction with a documentary centered around their first tour, which premiered on November 12, 2013. Discography Studio albums Live albums Live at the Roxy No. 131 US, Live from New Jersey. EPs Sunset EP, Westerns EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Electric Fetus, 506 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Rhino Records, 606 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Saltz's Records, 606 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Fingerprints, 606 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Dimple Records, 606 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Waterloo Records, 606 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Keefs, 606 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Vintage Vinyl, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from The Exclusive, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Singing Dog Records, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Ear Ecstasy, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from New World Record, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Record Archive, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Bull Moose, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Newbury Comics, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Record and Tape Traders, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from School Kids Records, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from GMIS, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Criminal Records, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Laser's Edge, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Homers, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Twist and Shout, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Bart's CD Seller, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Grail, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Easy Street, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Music Millennium, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic, Live from Rasputin Music, 706 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from Lose, 806 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from Zia Record Exchange, 806 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from Olsen's, 806 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from Plan 9, 806 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from AA, 806 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from Vintage Vinyl, 806 EP, You and Me Acoustic. Live from Luna Music, 806 EP. Live from Soho iTunes Exclusive EP, The Demos EP, Garage Sessions Volume 1.